Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started, and it's my pleasure to be here today. My name is Tim O'Connell. I'm the Executive Director with rgea. I've been your director for the past 3 years, and just need to say what a pleasure it is to be in this role and serve you and all who served North Carolina and their communities through public service. So it's a true honor and just a real pleasure to be here. I want to take this time to thank Tracy Eubanks for her technical support. She's in the background there, but does marvelous work for us on our websites and all our communication, but really appreciate her being here as well. I'm going to give you a little bit of an update from RGA, what's going on right now. We are in an interesting time. It's, when you look out there, the World Series is going on and there's pro football going on. In the world of local government advocacy and state government advocacy, we are in the same sort of position, an overlap of seasons. The legislature, as you know, has not approved a budget. So if you are a state employee, I strongly, strongly encourage you to reach out and contact your elected official, your legislators, both the Senate and the House, particularly the Senate, and let them know you would like a budget and you would like one that includes relief for state retirees. If you're a local government, the next meeting coming up of importance is the October 30th trustees meeting. RGA will be present. I'm at every single meeting, and typically so are members of our board. We sit there in the audience. We also speak at those meetings on your behalf, but we're looking forward to the latest valuation coming from the actuaries that manage your plan, so we can advocate for you on that level. So important October 30th meeting coming up for you all. From what we are hearing and what we're seeing, the pension funds, both Elgers and teasers, continue to do well. This is especially important for Elgers due to your the way the statutes are written and the target results being so important to delivering COLAs and bonuses to you. So more to come on that, but just want to let you know what we're up to. And Amy, if you're there, can you come back on the screen for us, please? We will go ahead and get started here. So I've got Amy Korb. And when you're ready, Amy, there you are. Okay. So we have Amy Korb joining us today. She's the Senior Volunteer Services Specialist with the American Red Cross. She's originally from the Chicagoland area, but has called North Carolina home since 2005. After graduating from New York University with a BA in English and Economics, Amy began her career in marketing and communications, where she honed her talents for building relationships and creating strategic solutions. With an innate passion to serve, it wasn't long before Amy transitioned to the nonprofit sector, eventually serving as a program director for a youth services organization. In this role, Amy led her team, along with an army of 4,000 volunteers, to empower and inspire over 50,000 students each year. During this time, Amy found her calling to engage, inspire, motivate, and support, and connect with volunteers to a mission in a way that best aligns with their skills, interests, and values. Amy is excited to continue her work with volunteers at the American Red Cross. Before we get started, here are a few things to know. Each of you has been muted to help ensure the presenters can be heard. This presentation is being recorded. We will send you the link to the recording along with the PowerPoint in our follow-up email. For those of you who sent questions in, we submitted them to Amy, and she will answer some of those online. If you have a question during the presentation, feel free to put it in the Q&A, and we will get those to Amy so she can answer. If it's a question for me regarding RGA, anything, health plans, pensions, just pop that and direct it towards me, and I'll answer that online as well in the background. So without further ado, Amy, it's just a pleasure to have you here, and I'm looking forward to hear more about the good work Red Cross is doing.
Oh, thank you so much. And I have a hard time hearing my bio being read out loud because it makes me sound more important than I actually am. So, please know that I am just somebody who works with volunteers, and I have done it for over 20 years. And I am so lucky to be working with the American Red Cross. I have been with the Red Cross for about 4.5 years right now. And I am also just very excited to be here with y'all today just to share some information about the Red Cross. And full transparency, I really wasn't sure how to focus this presentation. Some people know what the Red Cross is, some people don't know what the Red Cross is, some people know a little bit about us. And it's hard sometimes just to share about what we do without sharing too much information and just, frying your brains with all of our information. But I am going to try to keep this very simple. We are going to talk basically about what the Red Cross really does. We're going to talk about our impact, the power of our volunteers, and ways that you can get involved. Volunteering is great. That's the department I work in, but we have so many other ways to get engaged with our mission. And with that, again, if you do have any questions, please type them in the chat and we'll be able to get to that at the end. I promise I will get through this in 30 minutes, even though I have no idea how long it will take because I haven't actually rehearsed this. So bear with me. All right, so I do know that we have folks with us today from all different backgrounds, and some of you might be familiar with the Red Cross, and some maybe not so much. So we're just going to start out with a little bit of the basics before we jump into talking a little bit more about our mission and the impact and what we do and how you can get connected. So first, the mission of the American Red Cross, you see it on your screen. The Red Cross prevents and alleviates human suffering, and we are a humanitarian organization, and we are so lucky that we have an army of volunteers, and we have generous donors and a generous public in general that really help us to fulfill our mission out in the community. Now, we are the American Red Cross. We are a national society. Most countries around the world have a National Red Cross or Red Crescent Society. We are part of the International Red Cross. And what I will say is that our missions may vary just based upon that country's particular need, but all of us are united by our fundamental principles. These are our seven fundamental principles. They are humanity, impartiality, neutrality, independence, voluntary service, unity, universality. And I think I got them all. I'm not going to go through all of these one by one, but just to sum up what these principles mean, these are the principles that guide our work. Our goal is really to provide our services by bringing assistance to people who need it and providing those services without any sort of discrimination. We do not pick sides in a conflict or politically. We are a neutral organization and we help all who are in need of our services without any sort of judgment. And that way we can keep the doors open to all throughout that process. And as a voluntary service organization, we rely heavily on our volunteers to provide much of the services. What people don't realize is if you look at the American Red Cross, 90% of our workforce are actually volunteers. So volunteers are essential in allowing us to deliver our mission. So again, this was actually my cover slide when I first started this because I wasn't really sure how to explain what the Red Cross really does. We are a single organization, thousands of volunteers, actually hundreds of thousands of volunteers in the United States. We save lives, we bring hope, we strengthen the community. So many different things that the Red Cross does, but we're going to simplify it for you as much as I possibly can. And we're going to tell you exactly what the Red Cross does and how it impacts you and how it helps you as well, and some of the opportunities and services available to you. So, when we talk about the Red Cross, the American Red Cross, we're talking mainly about five different lines of services. So when most people hear Red Cross, I find that most people either think blood drives or they think disasters. And both of those are certainly a big part of what we do, but the Red Cross is so much more. We respond to disasters every day, both large and small. In fact, most of our responses are to what most people would consider those smaller disasters. Those are our home fires. We respond to maybe 68,000 disasters each year, and the majority of them are the home fires. They may not get the news coverage that some of the other large scale disasters get, but we do respond to them, and it's just as important to work with people who have had this happen as it is to work with people who have experienced large scale disasters because the devastation and the effect are still the same. Now, in addition, we also support our service members and our veterans and their families through our service to the Armed Forces program, and this includes from when they start with the military to when they end. We provide life-saving blood. We are the nation's largest supplier of blood. We provide something like 40% of the blood in the nation. We work internationally helping to reconnect families that are separated by crisis or disaster. So that's where our Restoring Family Links program. And we offer preparedness education. Some of these programs are free, but we do also offer our certification courses through our training services so that everybody can be prepared in case of an emergency to step up and help. So we're going to focus during this half an hour or so that I have with you, we're going to focus on just a few of these lines of service. So we're going to start with blood. So this is biomedical, and I'm just going to say this right from the start. I am not in our biomedical department, and I sometimes use words like thingy and whatchamacallit, and I don't know all the terminology, but my heart is in the right place. So just bear with me. One question I always get, and I'm just going to answer this right now. I always get that question from people in the community. I'm taking such and such a medication. I just had a tattoo. I lived in such and such a country just a year ago. Can I donate blood? And I'm going to tell you 95% of the time, if you ask me that question, I am going to ask you to go to redcrossblood.org or to call 1-800 Red Cross. And the reason for that is the qualifications and criteria for eligibility, they are always changing and being updated in terms of medications. New medications are added, some are taken off, and I don't want to give you the wrong information. So the best resource for you is 1-800 Red Cross or redcrossblood.org to determine your own personal eligibility to donate blood, which I strongly encourage everyone to do if you are able to, because blood is something that cannot be manufactured. And we know that every 2 seconds in the United States, somebody needs blood. Um, we also know that only 3 out of every 100 people donate blood. So if you are able to, we would love for you to consider making a blood donation. You can go to redcrossblood.org and schedule an appointment to do so. We have mobile drives, and we also have 13 fixed sites across the state of North Carolina. And the fixed sites are just the Red Cross buildings that you can go into and make those donations. But it's very quick, it's easy to do. If you're able to, I would strongly encourage you to check your eligibility and consider doing a blood donation because it matters. Type O is the most needed blood because it is the universal donating blood. However, all blood types are needed and necessary. And one of the cool things about the Red Cross is that we have a blood donor app that you can put on your phone and you can schedule your appointments, and you could also see where your blood goes. So even though I'm AB positive, which is the universal receiver, and my blood isn't in as high a demand, it's still used and is still needed. So again, all blood types are welcome. Now, the other thing that people are really starting to get some interest in is platelet donations. And we're so glad people always ask about this, and they're so interested in it because we need more platelet donors. We know that less than 1% of people in the United States donate platelets, and platelets, they're those parts of your blood that help your blood clot, and they really help to prevent that massive blood loss that could happen if you are in some sort of catastrophic accident or if there's organ transplant surgery, and also cancer treatments. Cancer patients really do rely on platelets because a lot of their medications do destroy their platelets when they are taking those. So what I will say, platelet donations, a little bit different. It takes a little bit longer. Again, everyone is welcome to see if they're eligible to donate, and please think about doing it. Platelet donations, first of all, need to happen in a Red Cross facility. It's not available in our mobile drive. So if you want to go to a mobile drive and donate platelets, we can't do that there. You will need to go to one of our 13 Red Cross facilities across the state in order to do that. The process takes a little bit longer. It takes about 2 hours or so, which is why I have this picture of this gentleman and he is watching a movie. We have plenty of movies, books, magazines, Netflix account that you can go into and watch while you are making the donation. You will have two IVs, one in each arm, and what they do is they take a very small amount of blood. It goes into their machine. The machine does whatever the machine does, and it separates out the platelets and it returns that whole blood and plasma back to you through the other IV that's in your other arm. So, because of that, and because you're getting that whole blood back, you can donate platelets more often. You could donate up to 24 times in a 12 months period, with at least 7 days in between each donation. And I don't know what it is about platelets, but I am telling you, people, when they start giving, they get so competitive. It's like, I got to make my 24 times in this year. And they are just really focused on making that 24. It is a thing. I don't understand it. I don't give platelets. I should give platelets. I just can't. I don't have the veins for it. But please, if you're able to consider it, or if you do have any questions about platelet donation, redcrossblood.org or 1-800 Red Cross. So moving on from biomed, we're going to shift and we're going to talk about disasters because that's the other huge thing that we do. And in fact, when I am out in the community and I'm talking to people about connecting with the Red Cross as a volunteer, the number one request I have is for disaster relief volunteers because we can never have enough of them. So we help after disasters, large or small. We respond to an emergency nationally every 8 minutes. No one else does this, not the government, not other nonprofit or local community groups. We respond everywhere from small home fires to multi-state national disasters. We go where we're needed so that people can have clean water, safe shelter, hot meals, a shower when they need it most. So I mentioned this before, we respond to an average of about 65,000 disasters a year, with the majority of them being home fires. But when we talk about our disaster services department, it really is, everybody focuses on the relief part where we're responding, but really disaster is broken up into three parts: Pre- preparing, responding, and then recovery. So for preparation, we want communities to be as prepared as possible. We can't predict when a disaster is going to happen usually. And no one is going to be immune from having a disaster happen to them. It could happen to anyone, and we want people to be prepared. So we offer preparedness programs in the community for free, where we're teaching you about how to be ready in case of an emergency. This picture I have in the PowerPoint, this is our home fire safety campaign program where for individuals who need it, we will go out in the community and we'll install free smoke alarms if you need a smoke alarm. We'll make sure we also share with you information about home fire safety and help you make a plan for getting out of your home. And we also, strangely enough, hands-only CPR falls in this as well. So that's another program. We'll talk a little bit more about that later, but all of these programs are free. And in addition to all of these, we have a program for kindergarten, first and second grade students called Prepare with Pedro. So all of these are part of our disaster services department. Prepare in advance to minimize the impact and know what to do when it happens. And when it does happen, we respond. We are there when people need us most. Our purpose there is to meet the immediate disaster caused needs of individuals, families, and communities. So this is everything from connecting individuals with our volunteer medical professionals to help them replace lost medical equipment or lost prescriptions, to distributing financial assistance for households, or giving them comfort kits, care kits, things that they need to survive, things that they may have lost, things that they might not even be thinking about. That is what we do locally. We are there on the scene 365 days a year, 24/7 to those home fires. We are pretty much the human checklist, so people don't have to think about what they need. We can just tell them, these are the things that you might need, and these are the next steps to take, and we're able to provide them with those resources. Large scale, a little bit more complex, but we are there to provide that shelter and as well as food and that immediate emergency relief. Um, with our partners. Everything I'm going to say about large scale disasters and even our smaller scale disasters, we work with our partners. The Red Cross, we are not a single organization that does everything, but we really do have a wonderful network of other organizations and government agencies that really partner with us. And all together, we can come together and we can really help to respond efficiently, quickly, and really help people start to get their lives back on track quicker. So the third part of disaster is recovery. So our work doesn't just end when the disaster strikes. We, like I said, we provide emergency financial assistance. Locally, we have volunteers who follow up with anybody who's had a home fire, and they help them to put together a plan of what they need to get back on their feet, and we'll connect them with local community resources so that they can follow through with that plan. And they get the stuff that they specifically need for their recovery. On a larger scale, we also do long-term recovery, we do bridge assistance, we do emergency financial assistance, and we do grant-based recovery as well. And I'm going to talk about that right about now. All right, so my example for you is Hurricane Helene, which was something that impacted our state. It was something that impacted all of us, no matter where you were. I was not in Asheville for the response. I was in our Charlotte office where we had to temporarily stand up our operations and our leadership staff because we couldn't connect with our leadership and our volunteers and our team that was pre-staged out in Asheville. The communication wasn't there. So Charlotte kind of became that hub for volunteer mobilization, for all of the decisions that were made right at the very, very beginning of the disaster. We have our 1 year report, and I can provide you all, if you're interested, with a link to our 1 year report, as well as this beautiful story map that we did, which includes lots of individual stories. This is our impact, what we did, what we know we did. This is a cumulative number when you look at this because this was a 10-state operation. Now, I'm really going to focus in on North Carolina because that's our home. These are our neighbors. These are the ones who are impacted. But Helene did impact 10 states. Primarily North Carolina, Florida, and Tennessee were the ones that got the worst of it, with North Carolina, I think, getting the worst of it. So 1 year later, just looking back at what we did, we were able to mount a massive response for Hurricane Helene, and we started before it even came to North Carolina. We were bringing out our most experienced volunteers and leadership, and we were putting them in a makeshift disaster operations center in our Asheville office. We had them there in advance so they would be able to jump right into service and really start working with the community, even if we couldn't contact them because communications were down. We also staged disaster relief materials in various different places so we can get our resources and those supplies quickly to where they needed to be when we could get them there. So again, this spanned 10 states. We worked with our local partners to deliver essential aid, which includes shelter, meals, clean water, and our critical relief supplies. The basic health services, which could be anything from our mental health volunteers, our licensed mental health volunteers, our spiritual care volunteers, our health services volunteers, our licensed medical professionals. Imagine if you lost your prescriptions and not a single pharmacy out in Western North Carolina was able to fill them for you. So really, our health services volunteers were working with other agencies and with other areas around the state to help refill some of those prescriptions and replace them for individuals who needed them. We met the unique needs. North Carolina especially was a very unique response for us. So we do have emergency response vehicles. We had over 100 emergency response vehicles out in Western North Carolina that would drive on out, volunteers driving. They would get out to the remote areas and they would be bringing food, water, supplies. But we also had non-traditional way of connecting with a lot of communities that were very rural and were cut off basically from any sort of access to outside help. So we had to get a little creative. First of all, getting our supplies there. And I've heard stories about bringing them on ATVs. And also, I heard a story about donkeys and using donkeys and mules to transport supplies, which I totally believe is true. Um, but we also had to think outside the box in terms of what we were providing individuals, because a lot of people in this community, we were finding they had no intention of leaving their home or their property. And winter was going to be coming. So we started to think about non-traditional relief items, things that they specifically requested in the community that they needed: generators, spark plugs, stoves, ready-to-eat meals, filtration straws. Oh, I love filtration straws. Hot tents, and such funny videos we have of our volunteers and staff trying to figure out how to set up hot tents, but that's another story. But we were providing all of these non-traditional things that the Red Cross has never really done before, but we really had to figure out what specific needs each community had, work with local partners, work with local resources, and get those needs to these individuals. And then we are still there. So, it's a year later, but we are still providing ongoing support. In the immediate aftermath of Helene, we had immediate financial assistance that we were able to provide people who were impacted. These are very flexible. You can use them however you want to, from groceries, transportation, utilities, home repair, anything you want. And then bridge assistance. So a couple months later, we take a look at individuals that may have additional needs, and really those larger scale resources aren't available yet. So we provide bridge assistance, financial assistance, to help them to bridge that gap. And that mostly is usually used for home repair or healthcare needs, things like that. Now, long term, we have very generous support of the public, and we were able to launch a 3-year long term recovery operation in Western North Carolina and Tennessee as well. And this operation, it acts a little bit differently, because what it does is it works with local nonprofits and local community-based groups, and we provide grants and funding to these groups. And this is direct support. These are for groups who are providing direct support to hurricane survivors for things like home repair, food security, mental health programming, legal advocacy, and also to groups that are doing things to help build resilience, so that later on, we know if something else happens, we are going to be more prepared. We've learned lessons, and now what can we do now? And we really focus on these local groups because you are where this is happening, and we know that you should have ownership in how your community recovers and what it's going to look like and how it's going to be shaped. So we are very excited about that, and we could not have done that without the generosity of the American public, just so willing to open up their pockets and give money to us. Now, moving away, we're going to shift over to talk about our service to the armed forces. People don't know, but we do assist our military members when they need us most. We are there when they are at the military entrance processing station, talking about what it is the Red Cross does. And our main objective when people are deployed is that we are responsible for facilitating emergency communication. There's a death in your family or somebody's very ill. The Red Cross is the one that can get that message to an individual if they're deployed overseas. And we can also help that individual get home if they needed that additional help. We don't just stop when you are in the military, when you return from the military, when you are transitioning to civilian life. We have licensed mental health professionals who do a lot of reconnection workshops, resiliency workshops with individuals coming back from being deployed. This is for both family members and for military members. And then we continue on with this even beyond that. So we work with veterans. So we're going to partner with the local VAs. We partner with North Carolina military bases on the eastern side of the state. We do homeless veteran outreach and assistance. We're always a participant in those stand downs that provide homeless vets with clothing, haircuts, food, dental work, showers, medical treatment, and just general information about what they need. And we have a national call center where we can handle any sort of issues that our military members and their families are having, whether it's financial issues, serious illnesses, needing to get in contact with somebody. So the Red Cross does all of that with the military. Now, the final thing we're going to talk about is we empower people to act in the moments that matter. So we're going to talk about our training services department. And what you can't hear is that right outside my door, there is a CPR class going on right now. I keep hearing the AEDs go off in the background. But our training services department, these are our certification courses. So if you want to get certified in CPR, learn how to use AED, and have all of those different certifications, we have a lot of different courses that you can take. There is a cost for these courses, but they will certify you. Now, if you just want to learn CPR, which everybody can learn CPR, hands-only CPR, that is a free course. It is hands-only CPR, compression-only CPR, bystander CPR is all the same thing. It is very simple, easy to learn, and we want to educate as many people as possible in this because we know that there are 500,000 cardiac arrests each year and that CPR is going to increase the likelihood of surviving the cardiac arrest. No heartbeat, no circulation, which means no blood to the brain, and CPR can sometimes double or triple your chances of survivals. And it can happen anytime, anywhere. And the more people trained in the hands only, this is not with the breath, but just the hands only CPR, the more people are able to step up and help because every second counts. So it's a very easy program. It's a 30-minute program we'll offer for free to community groups. First thing you do is you check the person, you call 911, and then you start giving chest compressions. And then you keep going. You don't stop. You are giving 100 to 120 chest compressions a minute, and you keep going. There's no breath involved. You keep going until the scene becomes unsafe, the person suddenly regains consciousness. Don't keep pumping on their chest if they're talking to you because that's a little awkward. Um, or if somebody else comes up and they're able to assist you, then you can also stop. Or if you're just, like I said before, too tired to continue, CPR is exhausting. And if you're by yourself, it can take a lot out of you, but still, anything is better than nothing. And then, of course, also stop if an AED becomes available. And this we teach you all in our free hands-only CPR class. So the power of experience and how volunteers make it happen. And this is why I was really excited to talk with this group because I would say I work in volunteer services, so I see the world through volunteerism, and the majority of our volunteers are retirees. And I think it's because of the work that we do. I think you need to have that experience, you need to have that skills, you need to have that emotional maturity. I think these are the best volunteers. 90% of our workforce are volunteers, which is the heart of the Red Cross. They respond to everything from being on the front lines helping with disasters, others coordinate behind the scenes. They teach preparedness classes or help military members and their families. I mean, your experience is invaluable to the mission. And just to give you some numbers in 2025, which is for us fiscal year 2025, so we're on a July through June calendar. In the US, we had over 300,000 active Red Cross volunteers, and in North Carolina, we had 4,600. Now, that's impressive, but what's really impressive is that these volunteers in North Carolina contributed 483,000 volunteer hours in a 12-month period, which, by the way, was the most hours out of any region in the entire country. A lot of that did have to do with Helene, but we are always very high up there with our volunteers. And there's lots of different ways that you can get involved. If you are a licensed medical professional or a mental health professional, we can use you in our disaster services department. There are specific requirements and the type of license you have to have. There is a website that has all of that detailed, which I'm happy to share with you. In blood services, we need volunteers who can help out with our blood donations. Not our blood donations, excuse me. How about at our blood drives? We do not, our volunteers do not take your blood. We actually hire phlebotomists for that. That is not a volunteer role. So I'm just going to say that right now. None of our volunteers are actually going to be directly involved with blood. So our blood donor ambassadors, they are the volunteers that greet you when you come in to make a donation. They check you in, answer any general questions. They really just help to ensure the overall positive experience. So you'll keep coming back because blood can't be manufactured. So we want people to come back and continue donating with us. Disaster is always our biggest one where we always need volunteers. We have our local responders who are the ones who are responding to those local emergencies like home fires and other localized disasters that might happen, floods, storm damage, etc. This local response, these volunteers are called our disaster action team. They are amazing 365 days a year. 24/7. They sign up to be on shifts, and if something happens while you're on call, then you would be dispatched to the scene with a partner to meet with individuals who are just hours um, away from having had something very catastrophic happen to them. So, really, that emotional maturity comes into play there. Nationally, we can also deploy you nationally. We have so many different ways. When we have those large scale disaster operations, we are sending volunteers from North Carolina out to help with those operations. This is a 2-week commitment, but the Red Cross does cover all of your expenses. And what you would do is just what you're trained to do. We have a lot of different things that you can do, from working in a shelter to driving our emergency response vehicles into the community, to doing government relations, to doing disaster assessment, to doing logistics, which is behind the scenes where you're just making sure the right materials are being sourced and delivered to where they need to go every day. So lots of different things that you can do. We have preparedness opportunities, recovery opportunities. And then the one I do want to highlight is a program we are running that we just launched a couple of months ago in North Carolina, which is called the Shelter Heroes. What we learned from Helene is that we need to be able to mobilize communities quickly if a disaster happens, and we need to open up a shelter. Red Cross shelters, they don't run themselves. We do need volunteers in there who are able to set up the shelter, who are able to register people coming in, help out with feeding, help out with dormitory, help out wherever it's needed in a shelter. Sometimes it's just sitting there and listening to someone share their experience with you because they just need to talk. So we're looking for individuals who maybe don't want a long-term volunteer opportunity, but maybe just in case they're needed. This is very limited engagement. You don't have to do anything more than you want. You can always do more than just sheltering, but these shelter heroes are supporting a shelter if we had to open up one in the county where you reside. So some counties, I'm in Union County right now, down in the southeast Charlotte area of the state. We haven't opened up a shelter here since Florence, but we do need to have that team because we can't predict what's going to happen. And just when you think nothing's ever going to happen, something will happen. Um, Other areas might be more active on the coast, definitely with some of the storm systems that can impact the coast. Central parts, it just really depends on where you are. But I know for the most part, we're just asking engagement 4 times a year, whether it's doing training drills or attending a event, a team building type of event, or going to a meeting. That's really what we're asking for. And when or if a time comes to open up a shelter, you are part of that team that's ready to jump in and do that for your specific community. Helene taught us a lot of lessons, and that was definitely one of them. So bringing the Red Cross to you. In addition, I talked a lot about volunteering. Like I said, I see the world through volunteerism, but there are so many other ways to connect with the Red Cross, and I just want people to connect in the way that's best for them, because I think we have an amazing mission and we just have amazing people who make it happen. So you can request a program if you have a group, it could be a church group, a community group, a civic group, just a bunch of friends that are all hanging out, and you would like to have one of our Red Cross emergency preparedness programs. These are free. Contact me if you're interested in this. We have Be Red Cross Ready. This is a 30-minute presentation that's just designed to teach people how to prepare for and respond if there's a disaster occurring in their community. So, what do you need to have in your go kit? How do you need to plan for your pets? What do you need to do here and there? Hands-only CPR. We also talked about that as well. That is that 30-minute non-certified training that we do to make sure as many people as possible are empowered to help save a life if the need arose. And then Prepare with Pedro, which is our very short preparedness program for kindergarten, first, and second graders. I teach all three of these. I do love Prepare with Pedro, but that's just because first graders, they get me and they tell me I'm pretty and they hug me. So I love first graders. But all of these programs are actually under the umbrella of our disaster services team. And I see Tim just jumped on. I am just about wrapping up. I am sorry. I tell you, I talk a lot.
No, you're
Um,
fine. I just want you to know I'm here. So
okay.
continue on. No other reason. Okay.
All right. So the other things you can do, of course, donate blood. If you're able to donate blood, please consider it. If you're afraid of needles, it's takes a second. That's all that it hurts for a second. And we give you t-shirts a lot of times. So, if you do, I do a lot for a t-shirt. So if you want a t-shirt or if you just want to make that difference, you can donate blood. There's different types of blood donations that you can do. Whole blood is the most common. Power red, those are people who have the negative RH factor in their blood. It's a double donation is really what Power Red is. Platelets, we talked a little bit about, and then plasma as well. Plasma is also really, really needed. We do not pay you for your plasma, but we do know other places do. So it's really just up to you if you want to donate plasma, where you want to do that. Come to us. Um, and then if you can't donate blood, or if you want to just take your blood relationship a little bit further, you can also host a blood drive. And we can walk you through and provide you with all the resources and materials you need to help, publicize the blood drive, to recruit donors to come to your blood drive. But one single person, really, if you organize that blood drive, it can make such a huge difference. So redcrossblood.org is where you can directly go if you wanted more information on any of that. Or if you did want to get certified in any sort of class, we have redcross.org take a class, which is our training services department. And totally not being lazy, I did a screen grab of what the actual website looks like. So when you go here, you can take a look at the training, individuals or organizations. You can put in your zip code so it knows where you are. You can choose the type of class you want to take. In the format, we have blended learning, we have in-person learning, we have all these different things. As show classes will show all the classes in your area. We offer a lot of different classes. These will certify you. They do qualify and, satisfy all of those OSHA regulations and all that sort of stuff. But there is a cost involved. And I just went the wrong way with my slides. Oopsies. All right, so I promised him I was done. I'm timing myself, 8 minutes over, 9 minutes over. But I would just, I think together we do make a difference. The Red Cross is a very special place. It is not like I've been in volunteer services for 20 years. I've never been in a place like this, which is just driven by our volunteers who are so committed and so engaged and so active and really do the work that's out there in the community that matters. So anyway, you want to get involved, that's awesome, but I'd love to to answer any of your questions or hear any of your thoughts. If there are any, hopefully I answered all the pre-submitted questions throughout the course of my presentation.
So Amy, I think the key question, I've gotten a couple of these. So we'll send the presentation out to the attendees tomorrow, but here it is, who to contact. That's it. So
Ta-da.
how to get started. So right here, do you mind saying a few things on the slide and we can answer a bunch of questions all at once?
Yeah, so I know the Red Cross can be very difficult to navigate. If you're in the Red Cross, it all makes sense. If you're outside the Red Cross, it can seem huge. any sort of general questions or questions about volunteering or any of the free preparedness programs, you can just come to me and I can put you in touch with the correct people if I am not the correct person. And that's just about anything. I mean, I could put the names of all of my counterparts across the state, but that's just too much. And there are 100 counties that we serve, so I'm not going to do that to you. So any of those free preparedness programs like Hands Only CPR, you can contact me and I'll connect you, etc. Blood donations, 1-800 Red Cross or redcrossblood.org. Training services, you can just go straight to that website. You can always just go to redcross.org and everything is linked from there. And if you are ready to get started as a volunteer, you can either contact me and I can walk you through the process, or you can go to redcross.org/volunteer and start an application.
All right, good stuff. Amy, I just want to thank you and Red Cross for all you do. I know we have a lot of members that already volunteer. We have someone in our office that is a weekly volunteer, puts in plenty of hours with y'all. If he is not with us, he's with you. And we were happy to share him. But just a wonderful organization, so many good things that you all do, so many ways to interface as a volunteer. And I really do encourage, especially, so many of our members come from a public service background, either emergency services or just public service and all that. So I'm putting out the plea to our members, let's get involved. Let's help the Red Cross out. So just, all this good information you shared today. And what really kind of blew me away is, talking about Western North Carolina, what an impact you all have made up there. There's so many folks involved, but I know folks really look to the Red Cross. We were all trying to figure out what to do, everybody looked to the Red Cross. So we just want to thank you again for that role. And I know you guys are still doing good work up there. So on behalf of RGA, our members, we thank you. Just as a reminder, so we are going to be sending out the recording of this. We will send out the handouts. And then I want to remind you that we will be back again with a really important one on holiday fitness. Our next Lunch and Learn is on holiday fitness. I've already started putting on my holiday weight, so I am ahead of the game. But if you want to learn how to eat healthy and keep your fitness up through the holidays, I hope you'll join us with Andrea Henry from Brookdale. She'll be doing the program for us on holiday fitness, and that is November 12th at 12:30. Same channel here at RGA, but want to thank you for your membership and thank you for your time, and hope you'll register for that next Lunch and Learn webinar. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate you.